Hi guys, in Mulesoft, today we are going to be discussing how we are going to be applying configuration properties in Mulesoft. So before going to be apply configuration properties, first we have to know what is mule properties and why should I apply mule properties. And in order to apply mule properties, which folder is going to be used to create property files and how many ways we are going to be creating a property files. And after creating a property files, how we are going to be read the property files, and after defining the property files, how we are going to be assigning these property files to the project, and how we are going to be defining the environment variable. Why should I define environment variable? Each and everything we are going to be discussed in today's session. And what is mule properties and why should I apply mule properties means, so properties files are nothing but key value files. And why should I apply mule properties means, in our project there are multiple environments are there. Not only our project, each and every project, some of the common environments are there, like developmenting environment and testing environment and UAT environment and production environment. Each and every environment, there are different configuration properties are there. So for each configuration properties, for each environment, we have to go to global elements and change the configuration values. Instead of going to each and every values, we are going to be defining the property files. So in order to define these property files, we are using a folder, the folder name called SRC main resource folder. Inside this folder, we are going to be representing whatever the property files is there, we are going to be representing those property files inside SRC main resource folder. And here we can representing the property files in two ways. The first way is dot property files, and here it contains key value files, and we can save the file with the dot property file extension, and we can represent this dot property file like this. If it is a post and we are going to be representing HTTP related host, we are going to be calling like this http.host, and corresponding value has to be mentioned. If it is a port, http.port, corresponding value has to be mentioned. And in the same way, if it is a database username, db.username and db.password has to be mentioned. And second way we are going to be representing a property files is a .yaml files. Here also it contains key value page, and we can save the file with a .yaml extension, and we can represent these files like this. It is a HTTP connector. Inside HTTP connector we have host and port. We are going to be representing these ways. And if it is a database connector, and here are some of the configuration properties like username and password, we are going to be representing those values like this. And after defining these property files, if you want to read these property files, how we are going to be read these property files means, so if it is a dot property files, if you want to read these property files inside a connector configuration, so we are going to be representing $flow basis, corresponding key name has to be mentioned, and whatever the value has to be stored inside this key value, that value is going to be getting here. And in the same way, if you want to call the username of the database, $flow basis db.username has to be called. And other than connectors, if you want to call the values, we are going to be representing like this: p parenthesis, inside parenthesis, single quotation, whatever the key name is there, corresponding key name has to be mentioned. And in the same way, if you want to call the .yaml files also, if you want to configure these values inside connectors, so we can represent it like this. Other than connectors, if you want to call these values, p parenthesis, inside single quotation, whatever the key is there, corresponding key name has to be mentioned. And also, how we are going to be assigning these files to our project, and how we are going to be define this environment variable. Each and everything we are going to discuss, and we are going to be showing a small project. Here I am going to be creating a small project. That project is a database project, and here I am going to be connecting with the database from the listener palette. And from this, whatever the data is coming, it is going to be converted into the JSON format, and it is going to be available in our post. So for this reason, here I am going to be creating a property files inside SRC main resource folder. Here, in order to creating a property files, here right click on SRC main folder and go to new and click on file. Here, whatever the file name is there, corresponding file name has to be mentioned. If it is a dev dot property file, we are going to be click up property. Otherwise, if it is YAML, corresponding YAML extension has to be created. Here I have already created these price like DEV properties, test properties, and production YAML and UAT YAML. So here I am going to be representing these values. If it is a DEV properties, I am using a host as localhost and port as 4562, and the state represent which environment it belongs to. Corresponding environment has to be printed here. And here also I have mentioned database configuration like username and password. The same way I am representing test properties and YAML properties. So if you want to representing YAML properties, if it is HTTP connector, HTTP column corresponding key values and state, and DB database connector corresponding configuration has to be mentioned. In this way, we are going to be representing property files. So what are the property files we are going to be assigning? These property files, if you want to assigning to the connectors, what are the connectors like HTTP connector or database connector, we are going to be representing like this. If this is a HTTP connector, so we are going to be configure dollar flow basis. Inside this, whatever the key is there, whatever the value has to become, corresponding key name has to be mentioned here. And in this way, we are going to be representing property files to the connectors. And at the same time, if you want to configure the database also, we are going to be using inside configuration. So we have to call username like dollar for basis, corresponding key has to be mentioned in the same way. Here also I mentioned db.password and click on OK. And other than connectors, if you want to call these values, we are going to be representing here. Here I am getting the value from the database, and addition of this value, I am going to be adding some of the key value pairs like port and environment. Inside environment, what are the environment which belongs to corresponding value has to be added to our our output. And at the same time, so here way in this way we are going to be representing other than connectors if we want to call the property. So after assigning these property files to the corresponding connectors, so which file is going to be executed, corresponding file has to be mentioned in a configuration properties. So here we are going to be assigning property files to the project. Go to global elements, there is a configuration properties. Inside configuration properties, whatever the file is going to be executed, corresponding file has to be mentioned here. So here I am going to be executing DEV properties. Here I am using a DEV.properties and click on save and run the project. Run the project. It takes time to deploy our project in our location. So it was deployed successfully. Here I am assigning the DEV properties. Inside DEV properties, I am using a listener configuration as a local host and port as 4562 and path as /test. So here I am going to be call this application from the postman. So here I am taking a new tab, and inside new tab I am calling HTTP column localhost 4562 and the path is test, and I am running the application, and here I am getting the response. So here we are getting the port number as 4562 and here it is belonging to development. So in this way, we are going to be assigning the properties to our file. In the same way, if you want to call the YAML files also, go to global elements. Here I am changing the DEV properties to, here I am changing production.yaml and click on OK and click on save, and it automatically redeploys. So it has redeployed again. So waiting for the deployment. So here it was deployed successfully, started properties file example. Inside production.yaml, I am using a host as localhost and port as 4123. And here I am going to be calling this 4123 port and run the application. And here it comes like a L port as a 4123 and environment which belongs to production. So in this way, we are going to be representing dot property files and dot YAML files. And finally, we are going to be assigning the environment variable. So why should we create environment variable, and where we are going to be creating environment variable, and why should I creating environment variable is so every time we have to come to global elements, and here we are going to be changing which property file has to be executed, corresponding property file has to be changed here. So every time we are coming and changing this property file instead of coming every time. So here we are going to be defining a environment variable dollar flower basis env. Here I am assigning a key name as env. So this value is going to be represented at the time of running our project. So here we have to go to run. There is a run configuration. Here there is environment tab is there. Here we have to create whatever the name has to be mentioned, corresponding name has to be mentioned, and whatever the value is there, corresponding value has to come. Here I am using UAT and click on OK and run the application and save the file. And it is going to be deploy our project, and we have to wait until our project has to be deployed successfully. So it is running. So we have to wait till our project has to be deployed successfully. It was deployed successfully. So here I am using a UAT environment. For this reason, here I am using a port number as a 8081. So here I am running this application going to be Postman. Here I am using 8081 port and run the application. So here I am getting the response like port number as 8081, which belongs to UAT environment. In this way, we are going to be applying a environment variable, and we are going to be representing a property files inside this. So next session, we are going to be discussing how we are going to be apply secure properties to our project, and how we are going to be add secure property plugin to any point studio, each and everything we are going to be discussing in next session. Thank you.